Morning, guys. I just woke the puppy up. Like, please ignore him if he comes into shot. But I thought today, because I continuously seem to still have to explain this, I would make it very, very clear what autism is, how it affects people, and basically why you need to stop being jerks about people with disabilities. Because we get enough crap from people about the way we react. We don't need other people bullying us for it or acting like we shouldn't exist. And this is my perspective because I do live with autism. A lot of my friends have got it. My sister's got it. So I do know probably more than I should theoretically about it. But as usual, just my point of view, just my standpoint, just what I think, just what I believe, and you are more than welcome to ignore it if you don't agree with it. But if you're going to argue about it, please do it nicely rather than being a complete idiot. Right, okay. Well, autism on its own is literally, it's a spectrum, but it's not called that anymore. That went out of date quite a while ago. It is now autism spectrum condition rather than autism spectrum disorder. I don't know why they changed it, because it doesn't make any difference anyway. I mean, regardless of whether it's a condition or a disorder, it's still, hey Floof, it is still autism, and it's still a spectrum. Like, you don't just changing the last word doesn't change what it actually means or what it is, or the stigma behind it. Autism works differently in different places, I know that. I know that in England we go by functional words, and I think in America they go by numbers or levels, which I don't understand. Please don't try and make me understand it, because it confuses the hell out of me, and I have done reading to do this email and to do this kind of thing. So I'm just going to focus solely on the England and the English type of definitions and understandings that I have of it, because that's where I'm from. If I can, I will find different autism family channels that explain that type of thing in an American point of view. But we'll have to see, because that requires thought processes that I don't think exist in my head anymore. But here, autism is still a spectrum. It's just we have low functioning autism to moderate autism to high functioning autism. Oh, and severe autism, but that's like way down the bottom. You can also be non-verbal, and you can be pre-verbal, and you can be verbal, which in itself is quite simple. But non-verbal means that we make sounds or we use a communication device instead of words. Pre-verbal means we're, I guess, almost verbal. I'm going to check on my phone, because I generally don't know, and I think it's important to this. What does pre-verbal mean? Oh, apparently pre-verbal means it's an occurrence that happens before the development of speech. So that's things like the sounds again. I mean, we make sounds for different reasons, but there are also ways that we learn to speak. There are ways that we learn to communicate on our own or with the help of a speech pathologist. And then obviously there's verbal, which is what I am. I'm able to communicate my wants and my needs using verbal language, using words that aren't from another person, that aren't from a communication device. Some people will use sign or Makaton along with their words. I do, depending on who I'm talking to or what I'm talking about. There is several different ways of communicating, other than those standard ways that most people assume you communicate. Obviously there's words, there's a communication device. I showed mine, it's on my iPad. There is sign language, Makaton, ASL, which is American Sign Language. There's adaptive speech therapy. There is adapted signs. Some people don't use signs that are within the registered BSL, ASL, Makaton dictionary, I guess you could call it. Like, they make up their own and then explain what it is in order for them to communicate effectively. That works, that's great. Some people just use their eyes and facial expressions and body language to communicate. I personally can't do that because I can't read body language and I can't read facial expressions, but that's not to do with autism, that's to do with a different condition I've got. I'll go into in depth with that at some point, but not in this video, because this one is all about autism and that one contradicts it slightly. There are also when it comes to communicating with us, people with autism, regardless of age, please remember we grow up to be adults with autism, like, it doesn't go away. Regardless of age, please talk to us. We are not stupid. We might not be able to communicate back with you in a way that you understand, in a way that you might have to learn about, but we are not stupid. We understand what you say to us. We understand the words. We understand the language. We understand when you're being horrible to us. We might not be able to verbalise the fact that you're being horrible to us, but we can understand it. You can't just assume that we're deaf or assume that we're stupid, because we're not. We know when you're being horrible to us. We know when you're being mean to us. We know when you're trying to get something from us and we are being called horrible names because of our special needs. Like, just don't do it. It's not nice. It's not how you treat someone with respect, and it's not how you get someone to be your friend. If you're going to bully us, disrespect us, and make us feel like we can't exist, then you don't deserve to have the special connection that we have with people who truly understand us, who truly care about us, and who truly want to be our friends. Like, if you can't be nice, then please go away. Most people, I get, it gets complicated because often autism comes with comorbid conditions. That doesn't mean what you think it means. Comorbid does not mean that we die. Like, I know that's the general understanding of that word, or at least half that word, but comorbid means, again, I'm going to look because I think I know what it means, but I might be wrong. Comorbid meaning. I know I'm quiet when I'm looking. Yeah. Comorbid, relating to or denoting a medical condition that co-occurs with another. So, in other words, some people, like myself, have other conditions that occur with our autism. A lot of the time, that's anxiety or depression, or ADHD. Some people are really, really, really lucky to have several conditions that are comorbid with the autism that they get diagnosed with. Again, everyone's different. It's not going to be, oh, I got this. It's not a competition. It's not something we're proud of. I mean, it adds an extra trial that realistically we shouldn't have to add it anyway. But it's also, when it comes to parents, I think, is when we achieve something, when we get through a goal, that it's not just a, oh wow, every child can do that sort of thing. It's a clap and it's a well done and it's a big thing, because a lot of the time people with autism are developmentally delayed or don't hit milestones as they should because of their autism. Especially in girls, we don't really get diagnosed about the same age as boys do. I mean, boys tend to get diagnosed quicker, diagnosed more easily, diagnosed at a younger age than girls, because we are able to mask our defects from the autism in a better way. I don't know how that works, but it does. I mean, we become, well, I think we're just easier, it's easier for us to assimilate and be able to be like, look, other people are doing this, so we should do this. But we still struggle. I mean, Just because we don't get diagnosed till later on doesn't mean that it's not there. And regardless of gender, every person with autism should get their own set way of being taught, way of learning, their own way of communicating, regardless of who it is, regardless of their gender, their age, their thought processes. Like, that's why things like IEPs and ECHPs, I think that's the right order, are helpful. Like, IEP is an individual education plan, and then EHCP is education health care plan, which is basically just a level up of an IEP. I mean, they are swapping them over. They are, I think, because it covers more of a wider range of conditions and difficulties and things people need support with than an IEP does. But it's the same sort of principle. Like, an IEP is what you get when you've got special needs or additional needs in schools that help teachers know how to teach you, what you need support with, what you can do for yourself, what you can't do for yourself. And they're basically the same thing. It's just the other one just sounds fancier, to be fair, I think, to me. And you can't get education healthcare plans when you're in higher education. So once you leave sixth form, you're not allowed one anymore. And I learned that the hard way. But you cannot get one because they don't see people like us being able to do only university degrees and things. So we don't get the option of the support from the government, I think, or school. I don't know where they come from. I'm assuming it's the government or it's the teachers, or I'm not entirely sure where those like IEPs come from. But you don't get one when you're in university. And I think that's mainly because we just tend to drop off the radar when we turn 18, really. Like, I think they assume we know what we're doing by then, but autism doesn't go away. An IEP would have been really helpful when I was doing my degree because I still struggled. No matter how much learning we can take in, no matter how much time and support we get in primary and secondary and college, we still need that continued support, even through secondary, even through college, even through university. That's not something that's going to go away. So I don't understand or know why they stop when you turn 18, because they really shouldn't. I think America have IEPs, but they also have a 504 plan. Again, I don't know enough about America's Disability Act to know how that works with them. I'm only basing it on what my experience are in England, in the United Kingdom, in school and college, etc., and what I know about autism to begin with. In school and in college and university, you're still going to get stigma. You're still going to get bullies. You're still going to get people who legit have no idea what autism is. And that's fine. That's why we do what we do. That's why we do videos. It's why we raise awareness. It's why April is Autism Awareness Month. Because there are so many people who still don't know what autism is, who still struggle to understand how it affects people, how it is affecting their families and their friends, and what they need to do to help, what they can do to help. And actually, while I'm on it, when we're out in public, like I go out with my family, I go out with my carers, I go out with friends, and I'm well aware of how my autism affects me. I get really anxious. I get really upset really easily. Communication shuts down when I can't think and I can't say what I need to say. I will have a meltdown. It is very different from a tantrum. Tantrums happen when we still have control, but we don't want to do what we're being told to do. Meltdowns happen when we lose control, we're overwhelmed, we're overstimulated or understimulated, depending on where we are, or we completely had no choice in the matter and we had no understanding of how this was going to work. Apologies, I've got a lot of pictures today, it's driving me nuts. And tantrums can become meltdowns if we lose control. They can happen anywhere. I mean, they happen in the house to me, they've happened at school, they've happened at college, they've happened in the park when I've been walking the dog, they've happened in my new flat, they've happened everywhere really, including the swimming pool, and I love to swim. Because I got overwhelmed and overstimulated and couldn't control my environment enough for me to calm down. But once they're done, they're done. They don't need, we don't get punished for them. Please don't punish us for them. They're not something we have a choice about. It's part of our special need. It's part of autism. We don't get a choice in having a meltdown. And while I'm at it, if your child is having a tantrum, there is a difference. Please do not say your child is having a meltdown if they are not disabled, because there is a huge difference between a tantrum and a meltdown. I know you all think that that's the right word and it's all okay because, everyone has a meltdown. No, they don't. No, they do not. Most children have tantrums because they haven't got what they want. A meltdown is very different. I understand that you want to appear like you know what you're doing. I understand that you want to appear like, it's not a big deal. A tantrum is something that can be resisted. It's something that can be dealt with. A meltdown is not. It just has to be let to happen, and it has to be left alone until we calm down. If anything, please, if you can't offer anything nice to say, or you're not going to be nice and you're not going to act like a decent human being because you don't understand, don't interfere. Just walk away. Don't stare. Don't laugh. Don't point fingers. Don't bully. Don't do anything like that. Walk away. If that's all you do while a child or an adult with autism is having a meltdown, thank you. Because I'd rather you do that than stare. Than to do copy and mimic, than to make fun of, than to laugh at. I would much rather you just walk away, regardless of what you think is going on. Because that might just be what is needing to happen. Especially in a public area where we're not doing it, we don't have meltdowns to draw attention to ourselves. We have meltdowns because we're overwhelmed or understimulated or overstimulated. Our parents, carers, friends, they know how to manage it. Only ask if they need help if it looks like they need help. Don't ask if they need help straight away because they may well be dealing with it in the right way from the start. I know for a fact that when my parents used to have to deal with me having meltdowns, people ask all the time if they wanted help. And instead of understanding when my parents said, no, she's fine, it's okay, these people tried to do things that didn't help me, they actually made it worse. I mean, I've had people try and pick me up off the floor. I've had people come too close to me and it's overwhelmed me. I mean, there are a number of reasons why we're having a meltdown. You don't understand, you shouldn't be trying to help, and you shouldn't be trying to interact with them in a way that's going to make them uncomfortable. And for that matter, it's a case of so many different things to do with autism are usually interrupted in a meltdown or when we're overstimulated. I mean, part of my autism, I hate loud noises. I absolutely despise people coming too close to me. I hate being touched. I can only communicate without eye contact. I don't give anyone eye contact, not even my parents, and they've been my parents 20 plus years now. And I don't like certain textures, certain things that feel in a certain way. and I need other things to help me calm down that you may never think of. Like taking my shoes off, if I'm somewhere where I can do it, helps me calm down immensely because I need to feel closer to the ground. I need to feel the sturdiness of the floor. And then I like soft things that help me calm down. I've got blankets everywhere in my house. Sensory toys, another big one. There's usually one in my backpack. Or something to chew on, which helps me calm down from a meltdown or when I'm overstimulated. Ear defenders or noise cancelling headphones are wonderful for people with autism because we don't like loud noises. Just as much as we don't like being touched, and just as much as we struggle with eye contact. That's not going to change just because we're adults. Yes, there are very specific signs for people with autism, or to look for before you go, oh, but she's just having a hissy fit, and she's just doing this, that and the other, and it's like, you kind of need to understand before you can sit there and say that it's just a behaviour, it's just toddlers, it's just hissy fit, it's just this, that and the other. Because, I mean, realistically, there are early signs. Granted, not a lot of them, but they do exist. Like delayed speech development, sleeping problems, resisting being touched. I've got an itch, apologies. Playing alone, spinning of objects. And then hyperflexibility. I've got hypertonia as part of my autism. It's not universal. You won't have each and every one of those early signs, but a lot of people with autism do, even if it's comorbid with something else. It just makes it easier if you can identify the early signs without it being chaos. It's like the same as most people with autism don't understand danger. I've ran into roads before because I didn't know to look left and right. We don't like loud noises. We like sameness and routine. It very much is important. When routine is changed, it causes more issues than helps. Have it again. A lot of people with autism, not me, I mean, I sit crouched on my toes, but most people with autism walk on their tiptoes and will do it unless they have something that stops them doing it. It's a sensory thing again. A lot of autism is sensory issues. A lot of autism comes with sensory issues even. It doesn't mean that we're bad people. It doesn't mean that we're not going to manage things. It doesn't mean that you can't teach us. It just means we need to have the correct diagnosis. It means that we need to be able to say, look, this is what I've got. This is how you help me. This is what you can do to stop bugging me, essentially. Or our parents, carers and friends are able to communicate, whatever works. Like, communicate for us. But what realistically, personally for me, what I want people to understand about autism is that it doesn't go away at 18. It's a complex condition. There isn't anything that can be done to treat it. It's not treatable. I mean, there are things that help with autism and help with the difficulties that come with it, like ABA, and which I think, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to Google because I can never remember the ABA. Oops, that's not right. ABA. Jeez, my phone today. ABA, thank you. Yeah. ABA, which is Applied Behavioural Analytics. It's a therapy that can improve social communication and learning skills through positive reinforcements, which is literally positive reinforcements can vary and widely vary for everyone with autism. I mean, for me, my positive reinforcement has been praise, and it has been stickers, and it's been extra blankets, it's been staying up later, depending on the age of what I was at that time. And I was an adult, I still used that positive reinforcement for myself. It helped me build those skills so that I was able to see, look, if you do this, this happens. It's like a token system again. Same thing, same sort of thing, helps with routine. First you do this, then you do this. You are working for this. If you do those things, you get this, which could be stickers, it could be a toy, it could be money, it could be a small amount of chocolate, like whatever that person is interested in. Regardless, that is what a token system is. I mean, people use occupational therapy to help with their autism. People use physio depending on their child or their own other comorbid conditions. Even comorbid mortality is a different thing entirely. And there are other things which I don't think exist in England. I think they're more of an American thing. Again, I'm just going off what I know, what I learned, and the fact that I'm in the UK and not in America. And then there are like talking therapy, CBT therapy. People use cognitive behavioural therapy they use with autism. Talking therapy is another one. Art therapy. And sports is another big one. It's not necessarily like a tried and tested thing when it comes to autism, but sports help immensely with children and adults with autism. Even if it's not group sports, because loads of people freak us out. But things like horse riding, golf, trampolining, gymnastics, whatever can help us build our skills, regardless of whether that be life skills or social skills, is more important. It's more important for us as people with autism to be able to navigate our world than it is for us with people with autism to be able to be age appropriate, realistically. I mean, that's in the nicest way possible. A lot of the time people with autism aren't really age appropriate. I'm still not. I turned 27 this year. I still love my teddies. I still love my blankets. I still watch kids' TV programmes because I'm too scared to watch adult TV. And I still need very specific things that help me sleep at night, like night lights. I'm scared of the dark. I can't tie laces. And I have zero idea when it's safe to do certain things because even though I was taught, it's part of my special needs. I need constant reteaching. I can't generalise. And some people with autism do mature and do begin to like more grown up, more age appropriate items. But not everything. And that's okay. I don't need to like everything everyone my age likes. I'd rather like something that helps me feel safe and helps me be happy than like something that everyone else likes and feel insecure, feel scared, not function, and not feel safe at all. And that's not going to change. Yes, there are times where autism can be a pain. It can be complicated, it can be scary, it can be loud, it can be creepy, it can be really, really anxiety making. But for everything we've got, please don't give up on us. Don't assume we're stupid. Don't make us feel like we shouldn't exist. Don't just whisper the fact we're autistic under your breath like it's a bad thing, because it's really not. See us as the optimistic, see us as beautiful, see us as compassionate, caring, autistic people. Like, we're not just autism. And you shouldn't just be a jerk because that's all you see. If that is all you see, then you are missing out. That's all I've got to say on this matter. I could rant for ages, but I'm not going to. In actual fact, I'm going to go and hug my puppy who is currently sleeping in the corner. Thanks, guys. Bye.